Blundell squeezes him down, and he's on the dirty side of the track now, just braking too late. He can't make it through there.
Always a racer though, Alex Zanardi. You've got to give him that. He always goes for it, and he's a great driver to watch. Always spectacular, always determined, and even when he's chasing the championship, he's still prepared to have a go, which is great to see. Jimmy Vasser then, about to cross the line, leading this race to complete 59 laps, and you can see for yourselves as they cross the line, the speeds as they went across the line there. And Guterman just of those few with the fastest speed at that precise point. Oh, and Ribeiro with a little bit more, in fact. So Ribeiro with the fastest lap. That's an average lap speed you're looking at there, rather than the actual speed trap figure across the line. So fastest lap from Andre Ribeiro of those leading cars. And look at this, as they go through the back markers, Blundell trying to get past. He gets through safely. That was going past Adrian Fernandez, and all three get through safely. Vasser from Mark Blundell from Maurizio Guterman, and the top three still very close together. Scott Pruitt is still in fourth place. He's a little bit further back behind these guys. Might just see him there behind Fernandez. And then watch out for Zanardi in the background, but he's a few seconds down on Pruitt. And there's Bruce McCall, the team owner of both Maurizio Guterman and Mark Blundell. And he's watching his two cars, looking for possible podium finish for both of his cars today.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Certainly a couple of races ago at Elkhart Lake, they were robbed of two podium finishes there when Mark Blundell's engine blew just a couple of laps from the end of the race. A great performance by both of them there, but you know, they both came in one lap sooner than did Jimmy Vasser, and they've got to stretch that fuel a little bit farther, and that's going to be tough to do towards the latter stages of this race, and particularly if there are no full course cautions.
Pat West certainly have done a great job this year, haven't they? You look at the two victories for Mark Blundell, one win for Maurizio Guterman. They're the only team that have taken wins with both of their drivers in this year's championship. Of course, that may change today if Vasser stays where he is. But you have to say that in terms of an overall team performance, then Pat West have been the team of the year in terms of getting both of their drivers up to the top step.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. Certainly in terms of stepping up to the plate as well. No victories prior to this year, and they've been consistently fast all season long. Maurizio Guterman has the best overall qualifying record, and you know, if not for a couple of bits of bad luck, he could be right there in the championship hunt. Those two are going to be very, very strong next season.
In fact, Guterman's still got a good chance of taking second in the championship. De Ferran lying down in seventh at the moment. Guterman running in third, and he's going to have to watch out. I know I spoke to Gilles' team earlier this morning, and they're certainly concerned about Guterman catching them up in the championship. Oh, Jimmy was very wide into turn two there, locked a brake. That gave Mark a chance to close up. Jimmy Vasser, though, is another man who's already taken the title. Just 12 months ago, in fact, at this Laguna Seca track, Jimmy Vasser came through to take the title, which had looked so comfortable for him earlier in the year. Jimmy Vasser, the reigning champion. Will his teammate be champion this year? There is Jimmy Vasser, still leading this race, but he really has got Mark Blundell very close behind. Interesting situation between the two of them. Remember, Mark Blundell won the race in Toronto under a lot of pressure from Vasser's teammate Alex Zanardi. Now Mark's trying to apply that same sort of pressure to Jimmy Vasser, and Jimmy will be so hungry for victory here. It's been a little disappointing season for him as the reigning champion, to come through it with no wins so far. That hurts a bit, I think. And although he's been consistent, he's been outperformed by Alex Zanardi pretty consistently throughout the year. This would be a sweet victory if he can hold on.
That's true, Ben, but certainly, you know, Jimmy's been incredibly unlucky this season. He was taken out of second place in Australia earlier in the year. Several other times he's had problems during the pit stops. He had a wheel problem, a wheel nut got stuck at Mid-Ohio. He was running well there. He came back superbly through the field to finish fifth. And, you know, there always seems to be some kind of adversity during the race, but he's kept his head, and he knows he can win the races. He's had a good strong run, as you said, last weekend, and he did here. Most of all, he would love to win. This is his hometown track. He was brought up only 15-20 miles away from this racetrack. He started his career here in Formula Ford, and boy, a crowning glory. Last year he won the championship here. He'd love to win the race this afternoon.
He's going to have his work cut out, though, because Mark Blundell is also scenting his third win of the year. Down the hill they come through the corkscrew, and Blundell's victory so far this year, one at Portland, of course. That was the the most incredible finish that we've seen, the best finish of the year, no question about that, when 3 cars crossed the line absolutely together. Blundell winning it from Gilles de Ferran and Raoul Boesel in the wet, dry conditions that we saw there. But he's also had a win on a street course, that controlled race in Toronto where he led from start to finish, really under pressure from Zanardi the whole way through. And Mark Blundell's season really has been a good one. He came back from disappointment last year, that horrendous crash he suffered in Brazil, and he's been on such strong form this season. That combination with the team working well, the Mercedes-Benz power as well, they switched to Mercedes-Benz engines for this year, and that was definitely a good move. The Mercedes-Benz engine has really been the class of the field, and today, if Mark continues in the place he is now, and in fact they don't even need a position as good as second, they will wrap up the Manufacturers' Championship today, Mercedes-Benz, with a finish like this. So it really has been a good season for their engine.
Certainly has. And you know, last year, of course, they were winless. They didn't win a single race last year. They could have won several. The closest, of course, was Alan Jr.'s that massive failure right on the last lap at Elkhart Lake. But this year, boy, they turned the tables. They did a fabulous job at Ilmore Engineering over there in Brixworth, Northamptonshire. And the fruit of all that labour paying off, of course, a victory also for those guys earlier on today in Monza.
That's right, so it could be a good day for Mercedes-Benz and Ilmore. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Battle for fifth you're looking at the moment with Alex Zanardi versus Andre Ribeiro. Ribeiro's done well.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's flying now. He's lapping much more consistently than he was earlier in the race, and he's closing quite rapidly on Alex Zanardi.
Yeah, that gap just narrowing down bit by bit, and I wonder if Zanardi's got any sort of problem. It's not really that, it's just that Ribeiro's going quickly. His laps are consistently one of the fastest laps each lap round. We saw, remember, a little while ago that the indicator, Greg Moore slowing down. Greg Moore, there's a report of fire from the back of his car. Looks as though it's gone out now, but a report from around the track, and he's gone in the shortcut. Let's see what happened here. He was just about to lap Adrian Fernandez, and then a burst of flame from the back of the car, and that's very much the end of Greg Moore's run today.
What was that we were just saying about Ilmore and Mercedes-Benz? Well, you can't win them all, I suppose. More misfortune for Greg Moore. He's driven very, very well this season. He has made a couple of mistakes in the last 2 races, and there again another non-finish here. But shame for Greg Moore, but he's made his mark already this season, and there's a lot more to come from this 22-year-old Canadian.
Across the line they go this time, and we have 18 laps to go. That's all before the checker flag comes out, but I think that's going to be 18 quite long laps for Jimmy Vasser in this particular position. Can Mark Blundell find that little gap that he's looking for? There are overtaking opportunities here. We've already seen that in a couple of occasions. We also saw what Zanardi did here last year, and you can bet that Blundell will be very fired up to try and take a third win. Neither of these guys are featuring in the top positions in the championship. In spite of Mark's successes this year, he still finds himself quite a long way down in the points. He's 10th place in the championship. Jimmy Vasser lying in 7th place so far. So that's a bit disappointing for both of them, and it's the race victory that will matter to them, not really scoring the points for being up on the podium. We've got Greg Moore down in the pits now.
We blew a motor just going up into the corner. Same thing that happened to us in qualifying yesterday. It's unfortunate, you know, we were running real strong there. Who knows what would have happened? We were saving fuel. We don't have to make a third stop, but our race is over. We'll go to Fontana and try and win that one.
How were the conditions from a driver's standpoint today at Laguna Seca?
I think that the conditions are actually pretty good. You know, there's offline, they're starting to get a lot of rubber from all the marbles and stuff, but other than that, the track's pretty good.
Thank you.
Vasser still with a slight edge over Blundell. Gugelmin running in third, just playing it conservatively at the moment. He's got a second's advantage over Scott Pruitt in fourth. Zanardi fifth with a narrowing margin to Andre Ribeiro. Then Gilles de Ferran in seventh. He's running a consistent race, de Ferran, but it's not enough. Remember, de Ferran needs to win this race, or at least finish second to have any hope in the title race, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen today. Christian Philippol the 8th, Gualdo Sales running well in 9th. And Michel Jourdain still there in 10th place. Brian Herter, our early race leader, is in 11th place ahead of Alonso Jr., who's moved up. Again, good work from Penske in the pits has brought Alonso Jr. into the points just about, 1 point for 12th. Raoul Boesel is 13th, Bobby Rahal is 19th, 14th rather, what am I saying? And Roberto Moreno still running competitively in 15th place ahead of Fernandez and Papis.
Yeah, some good performance there. Gualta Salas there, Davies Racing. That's a great effort for them inside the top 10. They've been there several times this year and always seem to have some sort of misfortune put them out of the race. But a great run by this young Brazilian driver, a rookie driver, of course, Gualta Salas, did Indy Lights last year, won 3 races in Indy Lights. He's also a Formula race winner in Formula 3 in England. And, you know, it's a small team this year, a learning season, but a great effort by the young Brazilians.
Yeah, so good to see some of the youngsters going well into the points here at Laguna Seca, which in the past has always been the season finale to the championship. But this year, of course, we have a new race to look forward to in 3 weeks' time. They're going to be running in California again, funnily enough, at the California Speedway. And that's going to be a track very much like the Michigan Speedway, which we were on just a little earlier on this season. A flat-out blast around a big oval. And a race that actually provided good entertainment last time in Michigan with Alex Zanardi taking the win. You're watching at the moment Jimmy Vasser just getting possibly held up a little bit by Parker Johnston.
Yeah, Parker Johnston. You know, Jimmy Vasser and Parker Johnston had 2 or 3 coming together this year, and hopefully Johnston will see that the leaders are coming past, because there he was trapped behind the back marker. He does so, he keeps out of the way. Good work, Parker Johnston and Dennis Vitolo, well out of the way, that the leaders go through unimpeded.
Yes, that could have been a tricky moment, but in fact they both survive, and there you see the positions. Vasser leads from Blundell, and we still have 15 laps to go. Can Mark make it 3 wins this year, or is Vasser going to hold on? Welcome back to Laguna Seca, where Andre Ribeiro has closed right up to Alex Zanardi now. Zanardi running 5th, and you're on board with Zanardi looking back from the camera mounted just under his rear wing. Andre Ribeiro, you can see behind you with the yellow, blue and red car, and Ribeiro driving a strong race here at the moment. Problems, however, let me tell you, for the young Mexican who we've been praising during this broadcast so far. Michel Jourdain is down in the pit lane at the moment. He was running in 10th place, but it looks as though he's got some sort of engine problem. There you can see Jourdain in the pits, the crew at work, but it doesn't look very good for him. So disappointment for Jourdain. Meanwhile, Zanardi running in 5th place. The race leader still Jimmy Vasser, but let me tell you, Mark Blundell is as close as ever, and he's still keeping the pressure on the American who leads this race. 13 laps to go.
Yeah, and the fuel is going to be the issue here. They've got a long way to go since their previous pit stops. They came on lap 55. That means they have to do 28 laps. Well, 28 laps. Well, it's 29 in actual fact. They came on lap 54, so that's a long way to go on a tank full of fuel. They weren't able to do that in the first 2 stints. Jimmy Vasser should be okay, but it's going to be interesting to see whether these other guys can stretch their fuel loads and make it to the finish.
Well, from the beginning of the race, I had a low pedal on the brake, so really I had to pump it out every time I used to go to a corner. So basically I run out of brakes. The brake was completely gone. The pedal was really long, and it was too dangerous out there. I mean, at one point I went into the first pool and I couldn't stop. And it was way too dangerous to stay out there, and the brakes were completely gone.
1 race yet to go in this season. Do you know what your plans are for 1998 at this point?
Well, I can tell you I'm looking forward to the last race at the moment, and towards next year. It's been a hard year, but, you know, we keep pushing and looking into the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Fernandez out with brake problems. That seems to go with some of the stories we've been hearing already, with Dario Franchitti also suffering brake problems earlier on. That saw him go off, and so that was disappointing for him. But Adrian Fernandez, Franchitti is still going, but he's quite a long way down the order. Meanwhile, the leaders still going well. Vasser from Blundell and Guterman, with Scott Pruitt in 4th, then Zanardi here in 5th place. Look now how close Andre Ribeiro is behind him. And meanwhile, if you do get a chance from that onboard camera, that one facing back, you really get a great view of the ups and downs that make this Laguna Seca raceway unique. Look at Ribeiro, he's gone for the inside of Zanardi, and Zanardi sensibly does not try and fight him off. And Zanardi really, perhaps the car not working quite as well as it was in the early part of the race, but he's decided he's not going to battle. Oh, and Fittipaldi's off. Christian Fittipaldi is off at the side of the track, and we didn't see what happened yet. It looks as though...
Yeah, it's up in the corkscrew there. A lot of smoke coming out of the side of that car. He's pulled off right off to the side of the road. That's on the left as you go down the hill. I'd say it's a pretty safe location. I don't think there's really any danger of a full course caution. You couldn't possibly hit him there even if you tried. So that should be okay so far as this race is concerned. But bad news for Christian Fittipaldi. You know, he's had appalling luck since he came back from that broken leg suffered at Surfers Paradise. He really has driven well. He's battled hard today. Clearly the Swift has not been dialed in to his liking, but he's doing a very professional job this afternoon, put it at the early end of the day for Christian Fittipaldi.
What a shame, the very likeable Brazilian who's really settled into American racing after his days